Committee meeting. It is June 1st, Tuesday. We're a little behind, so we're going to try and move through this as quickly as possible. I am present, Councilman Druffle's present, Vice Chair Hurt is present, Councilwoman Johnston, Councilwoman Stiles, and Councilwoman Van Rees. Am I missing anyone? All right. First up is Resolution RS 2021-967 by O'Connell, Toombs, Welsh, and Sepulveda. Oh, I'm sorry. A resolution approving an application for a shutter venue operation grant for the U.S. Small Business Administration to the Metropolitan Government acting by and through Nashville Municipal Auditorium to provide funds to maintain ongoing operations and maintenance to the venue due to COVID-19 restrictions of the past year. Do I have a motion? All right, any discussion? Anything from the sponsor or administration? All right.
Acknowledge that, I just wanted to acknowledge how much work that this particular venue did on housing women that needed housing during COVID. We didn't talk a lot about that, but we talked a lot about the men's shelter at the fairgrounds, but there was a women's shelter at a municipal auditorium. They did some great work, and these funds will help kind of restore some of that as well. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Councilwoman. All right, no other discussion? All right, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any against? Any abstaining? All right, 6 in favor, 0 against. Next up, we have BL 2019-4 by Councilmember Sledge, an ordinance amending Chapter 6.04 of the Metropolitan Code of Laws to prohibit aerial advertising. Can I get a motion? Thank you. Any discussion? Anything from the sponsor?
I'm happy to give an overview. I don't think this came to y'all's committee 2 years ago. So basically what this bill does is prohibits aerial advertising of one particular form, which is trailing banners from planes. It does not restrict the Goodyear blimp. I just want to make sure everybody knows about that. Specifically, the reason for this bill is that before the pandemic hit, we were starting to see an increase in the urban core and low-flying sort of small planes with these trailing advertising that typically were going to events that were held downtown. But what that meant is that they were making wide circles around basically everywhere from West End to south of Nashville, where I represent East Nashville neighborhoods, and around North Nashville as well. And this would happen basically from Friday to Sunday, usually sun up to sundown. It was a concern from 3 forms of pollution, naturally the air pollution, but also noise and visual pollution. The reason I brought this forward is because there has been case law, there have been cases that have been brought up in federal appeals court. Honolulu brought this because they did the same restriction. This bill hews very closely to the Honolulu law and was found that it was not a First Amendment issue and that it didn't violate FAA regulations. So from that point, I filed this a couple years ago. I indefinitely deferred it then, not because of the pandemic, but because there was a congressional bill that's a bipartisan bill, Senator Blackburn, Representative Cohen have, called the Song Act, because air traffic around venues and events had become a real issue, and they were specifically concerned with drones, but overall air traffic. It has gone nowhere. Congressionally, it's been read in the Senate committee a couple times, and the House bill hasn't moved at all. So I brought it back because starting around in the March-April timeframe, planes started coming back for several weekends in a row. I want to stress that this is statement neutral. It has nothing to do with the content of the banners. Most of the time it's private sector stuff from a variety of private sectors. But my concern is as we start to reopen, and especially when we get to next summer, when we get CMA Fest back, when we have multiple venues operating at the same time on the same weekends over and over again, we will be a magnet for this operation, and it is a quality of life issue. It does impact the surrounding areas as well as the venues that it's nearby. So.
Just a quick question. I don't know what.
Oh no, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Did you have any complaints from air traffic control here in regards to any of those planes?
Sorry, I spoke with them in AA, and so in speaking with them, they're not supporting or opposing this bill, just to be clear. Their legal folks felt comfortable with it being written to the Honolulu standard that had been held up in court. They felt that they can't obviously enforce this past their properties. They don't believe this would ever come from BNA. They don't believe it's come from Tune, but that would service that type of aircraft a little more. The thought is these are coming more from regional airports like Lebanon and Smyrna. What this would allow us to do is that if we do pass this, it allows us to create the framework for a conversation to go to those regional airports to say, hey, just so you're aware, Davidson County doesn't permit this type of aerial advertisement anymore. And then if there is sort of constant and upheld violation of that, then we could have a conversation with saying, hey, are you aware of who's flying this? And be able to have those, like I'm saying, conversations to try to make sure that people are aware of what the law is. MNAA also has given me the contact for the general aviation folks who oversee those regional airports. So if we were to pass this, I have the starting point to go forth and talk to them about, hey, here's where we are.
Did you?
No, Chair, I'm good. Thank you.
Yeah, just, is there any exception? Is this, if there's, I don't know what that exception would be, and I'm fine with the bill. It's just, you never know if that one exception comes from someplace. Is there a place for an exception?
In this current bill, no. And what I tried to do is write it as simply as possible so that there wouldn't, we had talked in a previous committee about times and different areas and things like that. And what I want to be able to do is when because I know that we're going to be dealing with the regional airports, right? We know that we're going to be dealing with people outside our county lines. I don't want to give them the impression that, hey, you need to figure out if it's on this time or this date or for this exception or this area. I would like to make the conversation as simple as possible so that we can have the best chance of enforcement possible.
Thanks.
So my question is similar, but it's on the other end. Can it be restrictive? Because I would not want my daughter's boyfriend to ask her to marry him if he decided to do it that way. You know, I would like that, or like it to say just married or something to that effect. So just wondering if what you're talking about doing, could it be more restricted to what you're trying to stop as opposed to everybody no longer can advertise?
So from a First Amendment standpoint, this is where I would turn to legal. It has to deal with the form of the advertising and not the messaging. So that's why it speaks strictly to the form. 2 years ago, we put amendments on that made sure that things that were on the aircraft, like the Goodyear blimp or the Southwest tail or whatever, were not part of this, obviously. But no, it has to be completely message neutral for First Amendment purposes.
My question is about the area. I know we talk about Davidson County, but then there's other, like Goodlettsville or Oak Hill. When we say that you can't fly over Davidson County, does there need to be buy-in from other municipal governments that are inside the county for that? So if they wanted to fly over Goodlettsville, they'd have to talk to them. You know what I'm saying? I'm just trying to see whether or not it's a countywide issue.
Hannah, I don't think so, but.
So, I mean, so this would only apply to Davidson County. And
Right.
You couldn't require, Smyrna to enforce this because Smyrna does not have to abide by Davidson County's, laws. I mean, there could be an issue if we find out that Smyrna is telling people, oh yeah, you can fly over Davidson County. That could be an issue, but, I guess so from a legal standpoint, no. From a practical standpoint, I mean, it couldn't hurt if there was, an across-the-board rule where it's everywhere so that people aren't going to Rutherford County so that they can fly into Davidson County. But, from a legal standpoint, there's no requirement.
Yeah, I understand as far as where the plane takes off, but in regard to the flyover, that if there are the other municipal governments that are inside of Davidson County, Yeah, the satellite
Yeah.
cities.
No.
That they
I mean, it
have
would
to
be
have
like every
buy-in.
other countywide,
Okay.
regulation.
I just wanted to make sure. I know Zach Young's not here, but he would want to know whether or
A
not.
similar question. And
Oh, did he really?
He did, well, he did ask about county areas
Okay.
and stuff, yeah. He
Okay.
didn't ask satellite cities.
And then we've talked a little bit about how hard it would be to enforce, so it's a matter of goodwill and conversation that this legislation allows you to begin, I guess is what.
Exactly. And what it does allow us to say is like, hey, the MNAA control properties, right, BNA and Tune, they would know, hey, we're not letting if a plane came up to Tune and had a giant banner dragging behind it, they'd know to say, hey, you cannot fly that in Davidson County airspace. What they are encouraging me to do going forward, if we were to pass this, is, hey, reach out to the general aviation authorities to start this conversation with the regionals so that they are aware.
Cool.
And I meant to ask this in the previous, in codes, but, so from enforcement, I know that's gonna be the biggest challenge. Does this legislation give anything outside of, hey, please don't do that? Or is there some sort of penalty or fee that could be, that would actually have teeth?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think it would, let me ask Hannah, just be sure.
So I'm checking to see if there's any specific penalty. Yes, there is a specific, it's a $50 fine,
Yeah, which is,
which is the constitutional.
right, which is all we're allowed to do, yeah.
Yeah. So there is none.
Charge $50 more.
What it does allow, what I will say, what it does allow us to do, because I think we will probably find that the same folks tend to do this over and over again. I'm not saying that $300 makes that much difference than 50, but at least we get a sense of who we need to be talking with.
Yeah.
Any other questions? All right, seeing none, all those in favor? Any against? Any abstentions? All right, 6 in favor, 0 against. And last, we have BL 2021-739 by Councilmember O'Connell, an ordinance to provide for the designation of public property within specific areas of downtown Nashville as a temporary special event zone during the time period beginning at 9:00 p.m. on July 2nd, 2021, and ending at 11:59 p.m. on July 5th, 2021, relative to the use of these areas in conjunction with the 2021 July 4th celebration and related to activities and events. Can I get a motion? Thank you. Councilmember O'Connell?
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is something we have done, I think, every year I've been on council, save last year. We were prepared to do it last year, but obviously the circumstances of COVID made it untenable, and I am excited to have worked with the CVC again to allow them to produce a very, generally successful 4th of July event, and I think it'll be nice for people to have the opportunity to celebrate Independence Day in a way that has really put Nashville's unique celebration on the map. So I encourage colleagues to support this.
Great, thank you. Any discussion? All right, all those in favor? Any against? Any abstentions? All right, 6 in favor, 0 again, and that's the end of our meeting. Thank you all.